Everyone has been freaking out about the documented sightings of UFOs across New York and New Jersey. People have speculated that perhaps these are alien crafts because the government has denied knowing what they are. But as a core function of government, they're lying. Experts with boots on the ground are starting to lean to what some may call a more naturalistic explanation, coming to conclusions on why these are not alien crafts and why it's unlikely that they are foreign governments spying on us. So in this video, we're going to look at what some of the speculation is from these professionals and uncover what it is that the government potentially may not want us to know. And even Joe Rogan said this is the first video about this drone situation that even has him concerned. And I'll have a scriptural tie-in that I think will bring a lot of perspective to this conversation. But before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan. This channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire you to live a life that blesses God. So if you're new here, if you're not new here, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. There's a huge percentage of the people that watch this channel, unfortunately, are not subscribed. Okay, so if you guys haven't been keeping up, there have been dozens, maybe hundreds of drones all across the East Coast covering very sensitive airspace, stuff connected to military bases, even spaces connected to airports. There was one airport in New York that ended up getting shut down. Okay, so as of late, this has been put out by New York Governor Kathy Hochul in a Saturday statement, said runways were closed at the New York Stewart Airport for about an hour Friday night due to a nearby drone activity and called on Congress to strengthen oversight of drones. So these are actual governors and elected officials that are now obviously concerned about this. It says that here that he urged Congress to pass the UAS Authority Security, Safety, and Reauthorization Act, empowering local enforcement to do more to counter drones. Now, remember, they're saying some of these drones are like the size of pickup trucks. So these aren't like little drones that you can go get at Best Buy and put up in the sky. These are pretty massive things. And there's even been reports of when you try to fly your own drone up to them, that those drones end up getting shut down or there's like electrical issues. So all of this seems super suspect. So there's been sightings reported all across Jersey, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and it has the lawmakers, people in government, demanding answers. Okay, so we don't really know what's going on, and the government's pretending they don't know what's going on, and these elected officials are saying they don't know what's going on. And so the question is, do they really not know what is going on? Here's what Trump tweeted on his own platform, Truth Social, on Friday, saying, let the public know, and now, otherwise, shoot them down. Now, I don't know if Trump understands what would it be like shooting down these massive SUV-sized drones over reasonably populated areas, but that probably is not a great idea either, right? Because all that debris has to come down somewhere. So it's not like they're over the ocean. They're over the ocean and over cities and military bases. On Thursday, Chris Smith, a Republican from New Jersey, criticized the Biden administration for being dismissive about the reported sightings and arguing the White House team has failed his obligation to the American people to figure out and tell us what is going on immediately. To Trump's point about shooting down drones, this has led the media to put out a plethora of articles on why you should not shoot down drones. The FBI ultimately saying that this is irresponsible and that doing so would be the same legally as shooting at a manned aircraft. Now, all along, you have the Department of Homeland Security saying no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or public safety threat or have a foreign nexus. Okay, so they're saying there's no evidence that they do, but is there evidence that they don't? So with local governments fairly concerned and the federal government seemingly chilling, it would lead some to speculate on what does the federal government know that the local and state governments don't? And that leads us to the video tweeted by Joe Rogan that was already going viral at the time of a drone manufacturer who gives his insight on what he thinks may be happening. And let's just say this is partially good news and maybe bad news, and it's just very confusing. So this is John Ferguson. He is the CEO of Saxon Aerospace, manufacturer of manned drones, and he gives his assessment of all the mysterious drones plaguing New Jersey and other places in America right now. So we're going to look at what he has to say, and then in a moment, I'm going to have a Bible passage that I think is going to tie all this together for us.
There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing, okay? We don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case.
Okay. So that is horrifying. There are warheads, nuclear weapons, and we all know, or you should know, what nuclear weapons can do. They can an entire population, entire coast, potentially an entire country, potentially the entire world. He's saying that there are 80 that are missing. So what does that mean?
I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay? That is a very serious deal. And everyone knows that the United States government, this administration, is pushing to get into a war with Russia. We all know that. We all feel it. We all see it. Okay? Well, back up a few years. Do y'all remember when those...
I don't know the motivation for wanting to get in a war with Russia. Russia has nuclear weapons of themselves, so I'm not sure if I'm fully tracking with him in terms of like the motive. But listen, this guy claims to be an expert. Maybe he's right. I don't get it. I don't know why America would want war with Russia, Iran, China, or any of these adversaries.
With this gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead. None of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything at all to help this gentleman raise the alarm and raise awareness that there is a very deadly weapon on its way to the United States. It's out there. Nobody knows where it's at now. It left Europe. Now it's gone. So my guess, my own guess, is that these drones are not nefarious in intent. If they are, they are, but I doubt it. But if they are our drones, the only reason why they would be flying and flying that low is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night. That's it. So my belief is they're trying to smell something on the ground. Gas leaks, radioactive material, whatever.
The good news is that these aren't aliens, according to this gentleman, and that this is not a foreign government. The bad news is that there might be a nuclear warhead on the East Coast. Some are speculating that they're attempting to get the nuclear warhead over into New York City around New Year's Eve in Times Square. Listen, I don't know if any of that's true, but that there might be a nuclear weapon that went missing, and these drones have advanced technology where they can spot through scent these different smells on the ground and hopefully track down if this nuclear warhead is in the States. Here's Dr. Grande's theory on what's going on.
I think the most reasonable explanation at this time is this. Many of the UFOs are manned aircraft. Those that are drones are being operated by private citizens for fun. This may be an organized effort, or maybe observers on the ground have been paying more attention, like this scare was caused by heightened awareness, rather than an increase in drone activity. The drones may have been there for a long time, but no one was paying attention. Once the word spread about a drone invasion, everybody decided to go outside at 6 p.m. and record the sky.
Okay, so his theory is that this is a prank.
Yeah, he's on the CIA payroll right there.
He's a deep state op.
Yeah,
I don't know. So listen. I don't know. Those are crazy conclusions, but it seems like it's fair to say they've eliminated the fact that these are aliens.
That's good.
They're saying that this isn't Iran
Also good.
and Russia. They're saying so it's either our own people who are tracking this sort of stuff, or it's a prank.
So it's either a nuclear bomb on New Year's Eve in New York,
Or it's a bunch of kids having fun.
Or it's DJI
and people
drones.
are paying attention more because there's more speculation. So they're looking at it and then people are doing it. So it just becomes like a reoccurring loop.
Becomes a meme.
Yeah. Now, I find that the fear around this is sensible. I get why people would be concerned about this. But I also find it interesting that it is so a part of the American zeitgeist, maybe because we're in between the Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean, that an attack here is fairly rare. We've only had a few major attacks on American soil. We kind of view the world through this lens that we're promised comfort and security, that as long as we keep on giving up certain freedoms, then we will get certain protections. But that's not what's promised to us in the scriptures, and that hasn't been the reality for most people for most of civilization. Check out what Jesus had to say in John 16. He says in verse 32, "A time is coming, and in fact has come, when you will be scattered, each to your own home. You will leave all alone, yet I am not alone, for my Father is with me." And then Jesus goes on to say, so he's speaking to his disciples here. He says, "I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace." Then he goes on to say, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." In this life, we will have trouble. In this world, we will have trouble. In this life, there will be certain obstacles that come our way, whether it's just the day-to-day stuff we're dealing with or whether it's potential wars and rumors of wars and all the craziness. And I think we just become desensitized to it. I think we are so entitled to our comforts and to our pleasures as Americans that when something crazy goes on, our brains are rattled. And this kind of is the things that leads to some people to go deep in conspiracy theories, that they don't know how to make sense of the stuff going on, or it leads to despair and nihilism. But in my opinion, it should do neither. That we're told there's going to be trouble in this world, that we're told that there's going to be wars, there's going to be earthquakes, there's going to be things in a broken, fallen world, and we don't always have control. So what is the answer? The answer is, one, be prepared that you will go through some form of suffering in this life, and two, focus on the controllables. Control what you can't control and leave the rest up to God. Now, before we go into this passage from Jesus that I think absolutely speaks to the heartbeat of what's going on and what's been going on in civilization for thousands of years, I want to make sure that those of you guys that watch this channel regularly know about something very special we have going on, the Bless God Summit, our very first in-person 3-day gathering happening March 27th, 28th, 29th, with my favorite pastors, preachers, podcasters, performers, all gathering here in North County, San Diego, Carlsbad, California, to be exact, for an amazing time together that I can't wait to be with you guys in person. So if you want more information on that, go to blessgodsummit.com. Tickets are on sale right now. And so the reality is we are not promised certainty and we're not promised comfort. And if you want to hear about a gentleman that went through losing all their certainty and all their comfort and maybe finding his way back to Jesus, check out this video that I recently did on Jamie Foxx's recent Netflix special. And if you want more information about the Bless God Summit, click here. All right, I'll see you guys there. Peace.